and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm not at home right now, and I wanted to make a very brief video just talking about the books I hope to read before the end of the year. I'm in Bishop on a climbing trip, and my reading has definitely slowed down in the month of November thus far, but there's still quite a few things that I'm hoping to get to. We're going to kind of go over the goals that I originally made for myself for this year in reading, and where I am and what I think I might still be able to get to before the year is over. One of my very first goals of this year was to do a deep dive into Steinbeck's work, and I've been pretty successful at that. I've read a decent number of Steinbeck's books this year, but I'm still hoping to get to one more, and that would be Sweet Thursday. So I think I'm just going to have enough time to eke in one more of his books. I've really enjoyed this experience, and that's going to be a goal that I'm going to continue into the next year. Not with Steinbeck, though I am going to continue reading more of his works, but I'm going to be choosing a new author for 2026 that I'm hoping to read at least a handful of their books in succession. It's going to be another author that I want to complete all of their works eventually, and I'm really excited about that and happy to have spent the time with Steinbeck this year. I then had a series of goals all relating around the number 5. I wanted to read 5 short stories, 5 plays, and continue in 5 series. And I made these goals for myself because they aren't things that I naturally gravitate towards. Not much of a series reader. I definitely prefer novels to short stories, and I just don't really read many plays, but when I do, I enjoy them, and I've had varying success with these goals. I would say I was most successful with the short stories goal. I know that I read more than 5 short story collections this year, and honestly, I really enjoyed that experience. I liked a lot of the short stories, though in each book it's kind of a mixed bag of I like some of them, others I don't, but overall there was some really amazing short stories I read this year. The poetry goal I knocked out very early on in the year by reading 5 poetry collections, and that was a less enjoyable experience for me. I found that when I don't get poetry, it's not even that I'm not enjoying it, it's just I'm not getting it. I'm not getting something out of it that I'm looking for, or it's just not speaking to me, and it always leaves me feeling really weird and just kind of odd and put off from poetry whenever I have that experience. And fortunately, more of the poetry I read this year left me with that impression. However, I was really happy to revisit some poets that I know that I enjoy, and that was Maya Angelou and Mary Oliver. Those were successes for me. After completing this poetry goal early in the year, I didn't find myself picking up any more poetry. I just wasn't excited about it after having a few duds early on in the year. I don't think I'm going to be making this a goal again for the next year, though I still am a little hesitant to pick up poetry. It's just not something that brought me a lot of joy in my reading experience this year, so I think that I'm just going to let poetry come as it does, not try and force myself to pick up anything, and likely I'll probably be sticking to some poets that I already know that I enjoy. And the goal of the plays was very unsuccessful. I just haven't been wanting to read any plays at all. I did read a couple of plays that were collected in the complete works of Pat Parker, but other than that, those were the only plays I read this year, and they didn't really stand out within her collection of work. I found her poetry and just kind of the essay style writing that Pat Parker did much more engaging than the plays. So this, again, it never felt like urge to pick up a play. I don't know if I will even get to another one before the end of the year, as it's just not sounding very exciting to me. But if there is one that's piquing my interest more than other plays, and it's also something I have a copy of, it's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So if you've read that, please encourage me to pick it up so that I have at least made a little more progress on my plays goal of this year. Similarly to the poetry, I don't think I'll be continuing with this goal into the next year. It just didn't really inspire me and keep me wanting to read more, so I make my goals with that intention of I hope that this just gets me excited about reading, and if it doesn't, I kind of phase it out. I don't keep the same goals year to year. I like to make new goals surrounded by different themes and different things that I'm feeling called to do at the start of each new year. So a couple of these I will be phasing out as I didn't find they were very successful for me. The final kind of goal I set for myself at the beginning of the year was the 25 and 25 books. I picked 25 books that I wanted to get to, and I had varying success with this. Not very great, as I think I've only read about half of this list, maybe even less. And there are still a few that I think I'm likely to get to. That would be I Who Have Never Known Men, as I have a copy of that checked out from the library. The Toni Morrison on here, I put Sula. However, I think I'm just going to read Tar Baby, as I have a used copy of that already. I think the Toni Morrison is definitely something I will get to. It doesn't feel right to have not read a Toni Morrison yet this year. So I think I'll be getting to that, whether it is Sula or Tar Baby. I do have a copy of Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by Dee Brown. I may not finish that book this year as it's long and dense and nonfiction. However, I'm pretty sure I will start it. And I have also started The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. And that's similar, is that upon starting it, I realized this is actually going to take me quite a long time. It's very dense, long, nonfiction, older, so something that I definitely don't want to rush through, and I think is just better consumed over a longer period of time in like small little doses. So I have some progress there, a couple more that I'm thinking I'm probably going to be getting to, but I'm definitely not going to be able to complete the list. I think in the next year I'm going to kind of phase this one out, as I think the biggest issue I had with my 25 and 25 list is that it was just a total, almost random assortment of books. I mean, the common denominator is I want to read all of these books. I still do want to read all the books, even the ones I hadn't picked up this year. But there's just no unifying like theme. I'm finding I'm really liking to like clump my books together into these little subsections or subgenres almost, topics or themes that just kind of allow a more like in-depth reading experience for me. And this list of books was just too vast and varied. And I think I'm going to do a similar thing where I just have smaller sections of books that are clumped together by a certain like theme. That I think will keep me more motivated to keep up on a goal that's similar to this. I have another reading goal that I didn't actually start at the beginning of the year. It kind of happened midway through the year. Me and my sister went to one of our local used bookstores, and they actually had a reading challenge. It's 12 prompts, and we picked 12 books that we wanted to read together to fill those prompts. So we've made progress on that, and I'm surprised we've made so much progress on it as we kind of started later in the year. But we still are missing a few books to finish that out. The books that I need to read to finish that challenge, the books that we are reading together, I have The Westing Game and Nancy Drew, so both some like childhood comfort rereads for me. Also have Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. This was the hardest slot for us to pick a book for, as it is meant to be a retelling of a classic book, and that's actually pretty specific. I mean, that is pretty popular, and I've read quite a few of those books already, but I didn't have anything jumping out to me, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy this. And then the final book is to fulfill a short story collection prompt, and that I believe we are going to read Exo Orpheus. It's not a very well-known collection of short stories, and my sister picked it out. We definitely would have to buy this book new if we wanted to get to it, so either we will do that or we might just swap that out with a different short story collection that's more accessible to us that we don't have to spend money on. So I do have 4 books still to read to complete those 12 prompts, which I definitely want to do. And it's been really fun to talk about the books that we've already read together with Ella, though unfortunately most of them we haven't enjoyed so far. It's something that I'm sure we'll do again next year. I think it's an annual reading challenge that the bookstore puts on, and I would love to participate again. And then finally, I'll mention some books that I'm currently in the middle of that I definitely want to finish by the end of the year. The first book being Don Quixote by Cervantes. I'm reading this now, and I'm hoping to make a video just about it in general. That is tied to the theme of reading big books that may be intimidating. That's something that I hadn't done much of this year that I may want to incorporate into my goals for next year, is just to read some larger books. So I'll definitely be finishing that, and you'll likely be seeing a video about reading Don Quixote. I'm enjoying it so far. I want to finish one book with my partner Kyle. We read books together, but he's not much of a reader, so it takes a lot to find a book that he's enjoying and wants to keep going with. We are a decent chunk through iRobot, so I hope that we will be finishing this by the end of the year. And then probably the book that I most need to finish this year is going to be The Price of the Ticket by James Baldwin, this big bind up of all of his collected nonfiction. I've been reading this book since last year. It's been over a year now. I think I started it probably around this time last year, and it's just huge. I've been taking it super slow, but I definitely want to finish this out this year, and just kind of get that off my plate, so that I can continue with Baldwin's fiction. I'm definitely feeling like I'm ready to return to his fiction, though this nonfiction has been absolutely amazing, and I'm very confident this will probably be my best book of the year, for nonfiction at least. So I want to finish this up. I only have a few more essays left, but it's some of his longer ones, so I think that's kind of put a stopper in my momentum there, but I definitely will be finishing that by the end of the year. That will conclude this super short and brief video. Just wanted to talk about some of the things that I'm still looking forward to, so you might get an idea of what I might talk about soon, and just kind of how I approach my goals and how they're going. Let me know if you have any goals you're still working on completing by the end of the year, or books that you're looking to get to, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.